locked onto Brad, waiting for his next move. But before anyone could react, the moment snapped, fast, precise, and calculated. Brad shifted, his movements almost too quick to follow. In one fluid motion, he gripped Jimmy's wrist again, twisting it with effortless control. A sharp gasp left the biker's lips as his knees buckled. The smug confidence in his eyes flickered into something else: uncertainty. The other bikers barely had time to register what was happening before Brad stood, moving like a shadow. His hand barely seemed to move, but in an instant, another biker staggered back, clutching his stomach where Brad had landed a strike, controlled, efficient, and powerful. The diner erupted into chaos. Chairs scraped, the waitress gasped, and customers edged away, their eyes wide with disbelief. Jimmy tried to lunge again, but Brad sidestepped with ease, redirecting his momentum, sending him crashing onto the checkered floor. The impact sent a dull thud through the silent diner. "You should have walked away," Brad said, his voice even, almost regretful. The remaining bikers hesitated now, their bravado fading fast. They had assumed Brad was just some loner, an easy mark. But now? Now they saw it, the way he moved, the calm in his stance, the precision of every motion. He wasn't just some man in a diner. He was something else, something dangerous. One of them stepped forward, hesitating. "You got lucky, old man," he spat, trying to save face. But even he didn't believe his own words. Brad simply picked up his coffee, took a slow sip, and set it down gently. "Luck had nothing to do with it," he said, looking him dead in the eyes. The silence stretched again. Jimmy groaned on the floor, rubbing his wrist, his face twisted in a mix of pain and humiliation. One by one, the bikers stepped back. They weren't willing to test him any further. Not after what they'd just seen. Without another word, they turned, grabbed Jimmy, and shuffled toward the exit. The bell above the door jingled as they left, their tough guy act shattered. The tension in the diner slowly eased. Conversations picked up in hushed whispers, and the waitress, still wide-eyed, stepped closer. That was... She trailed off, unsure what to say. Brad just offered a small smile. "Just wanted to finish my lunch," he said simply. She let out a breath she didn't realize she was holding and nodded. "On the house," she said, her voice filled with gratitude. Brad nodded in thanks, picking up his burger as if nothing had happened. Outside, the bikers roared off into the distance, but they wouldn't forget this night. Some battles are lost before they even begin. And sometimes, the quietest man in the room is the one you should fear the most. Necessary, as if deciding whether to answer. Then, with a small, knowing smile, he simply said, "Just someone who knows when to walk away." With that, he pushed open the door, and the bell jingled softly behind him. The night air outside was crisp, carrying the distant rumble of an approaching storm. The diner, still frozen in stunned silence, watched as he stepped out, moving with the same quiet confidence he had from the moment he walked in. Inside, Jimmy groaned again, shifting on the floor. The other bikers, still too winded to stand, exchanged wary glances. Whatever fight had been in them before was gone now, drained by something more powerful than brute strength, absolute control. The cook finally exhaled, muttering, "Well, damn." The old man in the booth let out a low chuckle. "Bet they won't be pickin' on the wrong man again." The waitress hesitated for a moment, then walked over to the booth Brad had just vacated. Her hands trembled slightly as she picked up the cash he'd left, far more than the meal had cost. Tucked neatly beneath the bills was a single folded napkin. She opened it, frowning as she read the words written in neat, steady handwriting. "Respect isn't taken. It's given." A shiver ran down her spine. She glanced back at the door, but Brad was already gone. Outside, the sky rumbled, and the neon open sign flickered again, casting shadows across the cracked pavement. The bikers wouldn't forget this night. The people in the diner wouldn't forget this night. And Jimmy, still kneeling beside the table, breathing heavily, knew one thing for certain. He had just picked a fight with the wrong man.